Welcome back. Will Worsham joins us now for this week's Speaking Legal Discussion. Good to see you as
Hello,
always.
Will.
Good to be here.
Thanks for coming in. Did you get rained on or anything?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Too much.
No torrents.
I'm
yet.
dodging between the raindrops.
You're not an umbrella carrier. I'm not either,
I got
hardly.
one. I
Oh,
brought
you
my
have
umbrella.
one? Oh, very good.
He's very stylish.
He is very stylish.
I brought my
Got his
Worsham
boots
Law
on.
Firm umbrella.
Worsham with the big Worsham.
It's got the logo on
Bring
it.
us one of those.
I will. Well, I lose umbrellas all the time.
Yep.
And so I figured I might as well
It's
put
advertising.
my logo on it if I'm going to leave it laying around.
That's
Good
it,
idea.
because they work with or without so you may as well have the logo on.
Absolutely.
Very
I'm
good.
flying his colors all the time. Here's today's question. I heard you talking about irrevocable trusts, all right? But I've also heard of irrevocable trusts. What is the difference?
Yeah, we talked about the revocable trust, I think, last week.
Yeah.
So, well, the difference is we normally are talking about revocable living trust because that's what allows you to establish the trust, still manage your assets, do whatever you want with it, but it's still in that container and it has that estate planning aspect to it. So it has some things that exist past your existence that allow the planning. The reason that you have, well, and you can take it back. That's what revocable means.
Right.
It's
I can
revocable.
revoke it.
You can
Right.
revoke it, which means undo it, take it back.
Right.
Irrevocable means you can't. Once you
Right.
establish it, it's there. You can't take it back. So the question then sort of is,
Why?
Why?
would you
would
want to
you
do
do it?
that?
Yeah.
Right. Well, the reason that we establish irrevocable trusts is for certain specific situations. Primarily, you can use them for certain tax-advantaged transactions. So you can do it for tax purposes. You can also do it for certain long-range planning, like for if we're going to end up, if we're concerned about a long-range medical care facility
Right.
stay. By using an irrevocable trust and crafting them properly within certain time limits, you can partition off some of your assets. And so when it comes time for qualifying for long-term, maybe Medicaid care, Medicare care, something like that, those are no longer your assets because you've given them away. You don't have any control over them.
Yeah.
So that's one of the purposes of an irrevocable trust.
Can you use an irrevocable, how do you say it? Irrevocable.
Irrevocable.
Yeah, right. Can you use both is what I'm trying to say.
Sure, yeah. It's not uncommon for people of certain means to establish multiple trusts.
Right. You don't have to use one or the
No,
other.
both revocable and irrevocable trusts for multiple purposes in accomplishing what they want to do.
Yeah, is
not one or the
irrevocable
other.
a good idea if, for instance, as you said, you're talking about long-term care, something like that, where you know that money or whatever it is will be in place and no one else can mess with it?
Right, and yeah, well, you got to think about the construct of any trust. You have the grantor that establishes the trust, you have the trustee that manages the trust according to the terms of the trust document, and the beneficiary.
Right.
So you could establish an irrevocable trust that you could be the trustee of and you could be the beneficiary of, but you can only distribute according to certain terms so that you
Right.
don't have access to it. So it may be such a thing as it's going to invest the money and it's going to pay out a certain amount of money every month, and that's all you can get.
Okay.
Okay? And so that the trustee, that person could be, whether it's you or somebody else, could be investing that money to earn a return. But regardless of the return, you only can get out of that trust what the trust document says that you're allowed to get. You can't break it open later and say, I want the principal back.
Now, what if
Right.
you are losing, we'll say, for instance, losing mental facility or faculties, and you've named yourself as the one who controls
Sure.
everything? What happens in a case like that? Is it still irrevocable?
It is. And hopefully the situation is not one where you so inexpertly drafted the trust that you don't have a successor trustee in place.
Okay.
Yeah, those things should always be drafted so that you've got a trustee. This person is a trustee as long as they're able and willing to perform as trustee. If at some point they're no longer able and or willing to perform as trustee, then I want this person to be the successor trustee.
Yeah.
And so on down the line, and you can have co-successor trustees. And ultimately, it's usually a good idea to, at some point in the end of that chain, appoint an institution rather than a person that you think is going to be there. So it's not like all 17 of my cousins died and there's nobody left to be the
Yeah.
trustee.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not always 100% when you, and this is just like one of just the question I asked. This is one of the reasons why you go to an expert. You have it done properly. You don't try and do something like this yourself.
Yeah, one of the great things that document prep lawyers do, whether they're contract drafting lawyers or estate planning lawyers, which I am not. I have those people in my firm. That's not the work that I do.
Right.
Is they are really good about thinking through all the contingencies that might happen that maybe the rest of us wouldn't think through, particularly sometimes in business. Everybody writes that contract assuming the business is going to go well and fails to put in all the contingencies about what's going to happen when the business doesn't go well. And a good lawyer is going to help you think through those contingencies and make some good preparation.
He's a specialist in his field, his or her field.
Well, we're not allowed to specialize in the
No, I
legal
know
field,
that,
so we
but
can't say that.
They're
but
good at what they do.
They tend to limit their practice to a particular area.
All right,
Absolutely.
I get it. People want more information about this and so many other legal questions that we've had. How do they get it from
Yeah,
you?
well, we're on the web at willworshamlaw.com. Call us at 863-9455, 863-WILL, or email me here at the station at wworsham@color10.com.
Or check umbrellas that may
That's
have been
right.
left in
Yeah,
restaurants, right?
Thank you, Will. Appreciate it. All right.
Up next, you recognize these guys, Gareth and Matt from Buckets and Boards. They're here to tell you how to get free tickets to their show by donating to the Ronald McDonald House. At the same time, don't go away.
Joe, where are you wanting to stand when we're talking about it? You guys can